She doesn't care how much you spend on her. She only cares about something far deeper. Most men don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. Here's the situation. So many guys believe that women will be loyal if they give her everything: attention, money, favors, endless effort. You plan the perfect dates, you buy her thoughtful gifts, you bend over backward just to make her smile. And yet, despite all that, she still drifts away, grows distant, or starts showing interest in another man. It leaves you confused, frustrated, even questioning yourself because you thought loyalty was earned by doing more. But women aren't wired that way. What women stay loyal to isn't your wallet, your favors, or even your promises. It's your energy, your strength, and the masculine steadiness you bring into her life. That's the paradox most men miss. She doesn't fall in love with what you do for her. She falls in love with who you are when you stop chasing, when you live with standards, and when you embody the calm, grounded presence she can't resist. In this video, we're going to break down the hidden psychology behind female loyalty. You'll see why pleasing her never works, why neediness always backfires, and why true attraction comes when you protect your dignity first. Let's get into it. Number 1. She craves your presence, not your favors. One of the biggest mistakes older men make, actually, men of all ages, is thinking that women want favors more than presence. You might think, if I do enough for her, she'll finally see how much I care. But the reality is, women don't bond deeply with what you do for them. They bond with how you make them feel when you're there. Let's unpack this. A woman values presence over favors because presence is about energy. It's about the calm, grounded, masculine energy that makes her feel safe, seen, and understood. Favors, on the other hand, buying her things, solving all her problems, constantly running around to prove yourself, can quickly feel transactional. And the truth is, when it becomes transactional, it kills attraction. Take Jake, a 3-4-year-old guy from Chicago. He used to date a younger woman, Emily, who was 27. Jake thought the best way to win her over was to constantly shower her with gifts, expensive dinners, surprise weekend trips, even doing her errands when she was stressed. But here's the twist. The more he did, the less she seemed emotionally connected. She thanked him, yes, but the spark faded. Emily didn't feel his presence because his attention was scattered. He was too busy doing for her instead of simply being with her. When Jake finally learned to slow down, listening to her, being fully present when they talked, holding eye contact, bringing that calm, steady vibe, that's when Emily started leaning in again. Why? Because presence communicates confidence, self-respect, and groundedness. Favors often communicate insecurity, like you're trying to buy her affection. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Presence is exactly that. It's not about how many things you can do, but the quality of the attention you bring into the moment. When you're present, she feels it. She feels your focus is on her, not because you need validation, but because you choose to share your time and energy. Another example, Sarah, 25, was dating Michael, 31. Sarah once admitted to a friend that what she loved most wasn't when Michael bought her nice things, it was when he sat with her on the couch after a stressful day, phone turned off, and simply listened. "It's like he's really there with me," she said. That presence meant more than any gift. And this is the paradox. Many men lose women not because they didn't do enough, but because they never learned the art of simply being there with calm strength. Presence is also what builds mystery. If you're constantly overextending yourself with favors, she knows exactly what you're doing, you're chasing. But when you're calm, attentive, but not overgiving, she leans in, wondering about you. That tension, that curiosity, is what keeps attraction alive. Here's the takeaway. If you're with a younger woman, don't fall into the trap of thinking she's impressed by how much you can do for her. What actually captivates her is your grounded presence, your ability to make her feel understood, and your calm energy that says, "I don't need to prove myself, I know who I am." So next time you're tempted to fix everything or to constantly try to earn her affection with favors, pause. Ask yourself, am I really here with her right now? Or am I hiding behind actions because I'm afraid to just be? And remember, favors might fade, but presence leaves a lasting imprint. Now let me ask you, have you ever caught yourself trying to do more instead of simply being present? Drop it in the comments with, "I choose presence." That's your declaration today. And don't go anywhere, because in the next part, we're going to explore something even more subtle, something that trips up most men without them even realizing it. Number 2, gifts fade, but energy lingers. Let's be honest, gifts are nice. Flowers, dinners, surprise jewelry, they can all bring a smile to her face. But here's the truth, most men miss those gifts are temporary. They create a spike of emotion, a momentary thrill, and then they fade. What stays with her, what lingers long after the gift is put away or forgotten, is the energy you carried when you were with her. Think about it. If a man gives a woman flowers but does it from a place of insecurity, hoping she'll like him more, the flowers don't feel like romance. They feel like compensation. On the other hand, if the same flowers are given with calm confidence, not needing anything in return, the gesture feels entirely different. It's no longer about the flowers, it's about the presence and energy behind them. This is where many men, especially older men dating younger women, stumble. They overestimate the value of the material and underestimate the power of their own masculine energy. But women aren't wired to bond with gifts. They bond with how you make them feel. And the paradox is this: a woman will forget what you gave her, but she will never forget how your presence made her feel in a room full of strangers or in a quiet moment when she was vulnerable. The Stoics were ahead of their time in understanding this principle. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." That truth applies perfectly here. A woman is not truly drawn to the possessions you show her or the gifts you hand her. What she's loyal to, what she's magnetized by, is the energy you radiate when you don't need to buy her affection. When you carry yourself as if you are already enough, your presence becomes the gift that never fades. Here's why this matters. Gifts without depth create a cycle of expectation. If you always show up with something in your hand, you condition her to expect material rewards instead of emotional connection. Over time, it shifts the dynamic from attraction to transaction. And nothing kills desire faster than a relationship that feels transactional. But when you focus on your energy being calm, grounded, attentive, you create a memory that lasts. Women replay those moments. They replay the way you looked at them with steady eyes, the way you listened without interrupting, the way your presence made them feel both safe and alive. That's what lingers in her mind when she's away from you, not the shoes you bought or the expensive dinner bill. And let's take it deeper. Energy isn't about doing more, it's about doing less, but with intention. Turning off your phone when you're with her, maintaining eye contact, speaking slowly and deliberately, carrying yourself with self-respect. That's the energy she feels, even if she can't articulate it. And it's exactly that energy that outlasts any physical gift. Seneca captured this wisdom beautifully when he wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." If you crave her validation so much that you bury her in gifts, you are acting from poverty. But if you give your energy, your grounded self, without needing anything in return, you are rich. That richness is what she will always remember. So here's the bottom line. Give gifts if you want, but never mistake them for the glue that holds attraction together. The real magnet is your energy. And the truth is, gifts fade, but the way you made her feel will echo in her memory long after the roses wilt and the dinners are forgotten. Now, I want you to pause and reflect. Have you been chasing connection through things instead of energy? If so, Claim your shift right now in the comments. Write, I bring energy. And listen, don't click away yet, because what comes next is something even more subtle, something most men overlook. But it's exactly what decides whether she secretly replays you in her mind or forgets you completely. Number 3. Neediness kills her desire. If there's one thing that drains a woman's attraction faster than anything else, it's neediness. You can look good, you can have money, you can even have status, but if your behavior screams, I need you to validate me, she will feel it instantly. And the worst part is, she doesn't even have to think about it logically. Women are wired to sense it. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a man named David, 37 years old. He's dating a younger woman, Emily, who's 27. At first, things are exciting. He takes her out, they laugh, they connect. But after a few weeks, David starts overthinking every text she sends. If she takes a little longer to reply, he double texts. If she goes out with friends, he gets anxious and asks for reassurance. Suddenly, Emily starts feeling the weight of his neediness. Here's the thing, Emily didn't stop being attracted to David because of who he is. She lost attraction because of how he started acting. David's behavior began to communicate one dangerous message. You are the center of my world, and I need you to fill me. For a younger woman, especially one who admires confidence and leadership, this shift feels suffocating. She doesn't want a man who leans on her for emotional oxygen. She wants a man who already knows how to breathe on his own. And this is where men often confuse care with neediness. Yes, showing you care is important. But there's a difference between sending a thoughtful message and sending 5 in a row because you're panicking she might not reply. One shows strength, the other screams desperation. Now, let's break this down with female psychology. A woman feels desire for a man who carries himself as complete, whether she's in the room or not. When she senses that his happiness doesn't hinge on her approval, she relaxes and feels drawn to him. But the moment she becomes his emotional lifeline, she subconsciously pulls away. It's not because she's cruel, it's because neediness is heavy. It creates pressure, and pressure suffocates attraction. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." That's exactly what happens when you become needy. You start placing your sense of worth, your calm, and your peace in her hands. And the more you do that, the less control you have over yourself, and the less attractive you become to her. Think back to David and Emily. The moment David pulled back, focused on his own mission again, and stopped needing constant reassurance, Emily started leaning back in, not because he begged, but because his energy shifted from desperation to independence. Neediness is essentially telling her, you have power over me. Confidence, on the other hand, tells her, I have power over myself. And that contrast makes all the difference. So if you want her desire to grow instead of die out, stop making her your source of validation. Focus on your mission, your hobbies, your discipline, your self-respect. When she feels that you are with her because you choose to be, not because you need to be, her attraction deepens. Now, I want to ask you directly, have you ever caught yourself being needy in a relationship? Drop it in the comments and lock in your identity with this phrase, I choose strength. And don't go anywhere yet, because what comes next is something even more dangerous than neediness. It's a trap men don't see until they're already in it, and by then, it's almost too late. Number 4. Respect is the root of loyalty. At the heart of female psychology, there's one truth many men overlook. Loyalty isn't built on what you buy her, how much time you give her, or even how passionately you love her. It's built on respect. Without respect, loyalty simply cannot exist. And the irony is, many men think they can earn a woman's loyalty by overgiving, bending their own standards, or putting her on a pedestal. But all of those behaviors have the opposite effect. They reduce respect, and when respect dies, loyalty follows. Women may enjoy attention, gifts, or favors in the moment, but these things don't tie her to you long term. What makes a woman stay loyal is how she perceives you as a man. Does she look at you as someone she admires, someone she looks up to, someone she knows won't fold under pressure? Or does she see you as someone who sacrifices his integrity just to please her? The answer to that question determines her loyalty more than anything else. Think about it this way. A woman can desire you physically, she can like you emotionally, but she can only remain loyal if she respects you. Attraction might ignite the fire, but respect keeps it burning. If she loses respect, she can still enjoy your company, but deep down, she's already halfway out the door. The Stoics understood this dynamic, not in the context of romance, but in the way they saw human behavior and relationships. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." What does that mean here? It means standing firm in your values, even when others don't understand. When you live by principles instead of chasing approval, you automatically earn respect. And respect, once established, becomes the root of trust and loyalty. Now, let's tie this to the dynamic between men and women. If a man constantly abandons his own standards to avoid conflict or to keep her happy, she may smile in the moment, but deep down, she begins to lose faith in him. Why? Because a man who cannot stand for himself cannot stand for her either. She might test him, challenge him, even push his boundaries, not because she wants to destroy him, but because she wants to see if he's anchored. If he stands firm, her respect grows. If he folds, her loyalty crumbles. Respect also goes both ways. Just as you want her respect, she wants to feel respected too. But the paradox is this: a woman feels respected not when you bow to her every demand, but when you hold her accountable, when you treat her as strong enough to handle truth, and when you lead with consistency. Real respect isn't indulgence, it's honesty, stability, and boundaries. Many men fall into the trap of trying to secure loyalty with comfort. They think, if I provide enough, if I do enough, she will stay. But loyalty rooted in comfort is shallow. The moment another man comes along who commands more respect, she will feel the pull. That's why respect matters more than provision. Provision can be replaced, respect cannot. And here's the secret. Respect doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from everyday consistency, from how you handle pressure, from how you carry yourself when things go wrong, from how you speak about others, how you treat yourself, and how you stay aligned with your mission no matter what. So if you want her loyalty, stop chasing her approval and start living in a way that earns respect. Stand tall in your values. Make decisions with clarity. Don't waver when she tests your patience. Because a woman can only be loyal to a man she respects, and if she respects you deeply, her loyalty will outlast her mood, her temptations, and even her doubts. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe respect matters more than love in relationships? Drop your thoughts in the comments and stamp your conviction with, "I earn respect." And stay with me because the next truth cuts even deeper. It's about a blind spot most men don't see until it's too late. And once you understand it, the way you view loyalty will never be the same. Number 5. Standards spark her attraction. One of the biggest mistakes men make is believing that the more flexible they are, the more attractive they'll seem to women. They think saying yes to everything, agreeing with her no matter what, or bending their own principles will make her like them more. But the opposite is true. What really sparks a woman's attraction is when she sees that you have standards, non-negotiables, that define who you are as a man. Women are naturally drawn to strength. And strength isn't just about muscles or money, it's about character. When you show that you have clear boundaries and that you live by your values, she recognizes that you're not swayed by every passing temptation and that you won't crumble just to win her approval. That's where true attraction begins. Take Michael, a 32-year-old software engineer. He was dating Jessica, 28, a marketing manager. At first, Michael fell into the trap of trying to impress Jessica by always being available. He cancelled plans with his friends, agreed to restaurants he didn't enjoy, and even said yes to things he wasn't comfortable with, just to avoid conflict. But here's what happened. Instead of appreciating it, Jessica started pulling away. She respected him less because he had no standards of his own. It wasn't until Michael decided to shift that everything changed. One evening, Jessica suggested he skip his weekly basketball game to take her shopping. This time, he calmly said, "I'd love to spend time with you, but Tuesdays are my game night. Let's do dinner tomorrow instead." That simple act of standing by his own priorities reignited her respect. She realized he wasn't afraid to live by his standards, and ironically, that made her attraction to him stronger than ever. This isn't about being stubborn or controlling, it's about showing that you value your life and your mission. Women notice when a man respects himself enough to set boundaries, and when she sees that, she knows that if she's part of your life, it's because she adds value, not because you're desperate for her validation. The truth is, attraction isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. If you tell her one thing and do another, she senses the weakness immediately. But if your actions align with your words, she feels grounded around you. She might not always like your standards, but deep down, she'll respect them, and respect is the soil where attraction grows. Let's look at another scenario. Sarah, 25, was dating David, 34, a fitness coach. Sarah liked David, but she often pushed his boundaries, asking him to skip his early training sessions to stay out late with her. David cared about her, but he knew his mornings were critical for his clients and his reputation. So instead of giving in, he explained, "I enjoy our nights together, but my mornings matter. If you want late nights, Friday works best for me." Sarah resisted at first, but over time she admired him for sticking to his discipline. What she once saw as strict became the very thing that made her feel safe and attracted to him. Here's the reality. When you live with standards, you force her to rise to meet them. That challenge excites her. It makes her see you as a man of value, not just another option. And while she may test you, those tests aren't to destroy you, they're to confirm whether you're truly anchored in who you are. So don't fear setting boundaries. Don't fear standing firm in your values. A man without standards is forgettable. A man with standards becomes unforgettable. Now let me ask you, are you the type of man who bends just to keep her happy, or the man who stands tall in his standards? Drop your answer in the comments and stamp it with, "I hold standards." And stay tuned, because what comes next will show you why attraction isn't just about what you stand for, but about something much deeper, something that drives her loyalty even when desire fades. Number 6. Lead her, don't please her. One of the hardest lessons for men to grasp is this. Women don't want a man who constantly bends to please them. They want a man who knows where he's going, who can lead with certainty, and who invites her to join that path. Pleasing might win you short-term smiles, but leadership earns you long-term respect and desire. Think about it. When you fall into the trap of pleasing, you're constantly asking, "What do you want? What should we do? How can I make you happy?" It seems thoughtful on the surface, but what it communicates underneath is hesitation and insecurity. Instead of feeling safe in your presence, she feels the pressure of having to carry the direction of the relationship, and deep down, that kills attraction. Leadership, on the other hand, doesn't mean control. It means clarity. It means knowing your values, your mission, and your vision for the relationship. When you step into that role, she doesn't have to guess whether you can handle life's challenges. She sees it in the way you guide both yourself and her with confidence. The Stoics understood this principle long before modern relationships. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's leadership in its purest form. It's not about debating or performing to win approval. It's about embodying the strength and direction that naturally inspire respect. Now, You might wonder, but won't she think I'm too rigid if I lead? The answer is no, if your leadership comes from calm strength rather than ego. Leadership isn't about barking orders or forcing your will. It's about providing a steady frame for her to relax into. When you decide where to go for dinner, when you plan the weekend trip, when you set the tone in a moment of stress, you're showing her that she can trust your judgment. That trust becomes the foundation of attraction. Here's the irony: the more you try to please, the less pleased she becomes. Because pleasing is reactive, you're constantly waiting for her cues. But leading is proactive. It sets the stage and shows that you can handle whatever comes. Women may test your leadership by challenging your decisions, but those tests aren't meant to destroy you. They're designed to confirm your strength. And here's another truth: leadership doesn't remove her voice, it amplifies it. A strong man listens, considers, and then decides with confidence. That balance between listening and leading is what makes her feel safe enough to fully express herself. Without it, she feels like she's navigating in chaos, and chaos never sparks desire. Think of it like dancing. If both people try to lead, it becomes messy. If no one leads, the dance stalls. But when one leads with rhythm and confidence, the other can flow with ease. Relationships are no different. She doesn't want to carry the weight of direction. She wants to feel the freedom of following a man who knows his steps. So let's bring this home. Stop obsessing over how to make her happy every second. Instead, focus on becoming the kind of man who naturally inspires happiness through his direction, his presence, and his standards. As Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Don't just talk about being a leader, live it." Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and declare it for yourself with 3 words: I lead firmly. Let that be your reminder that women are not loyal to men who please, they're loyal to men who lead. And keep watching, because next we're diving into a truth that flips the entire dynamic on its head, a shift that will make her chase you harder than you ever thought possible. Number 7. Dignity in small moments matters most. Here's the thing most men don't realize. Women don't just watch what you do in the big moments. They pay attention to the small ones, the ones you think don't matter. Your dignity in those subtle situations often speaks louder than anything you could buy, say, or plan. Take Daniel, 38, who recently started dating Emily, 27. One night they're out at a friend's gathering. The topic shifts, and someone makes a playful comment about Daniel being the older guy in the room. At that moment, Daniel has 2 choices: get defensive, try to prove his youth, or brush it off with calm confidence. The first reaction might make Emily cringe because it shows insecurity. The second, however, where Daniel smiles, delivers a witty remark, and stays unshaken, makes her lean in closer. Why? Because his dignity in that small moment reveals strength that no words could manufacture. And that's the secret. Women sense your energy not when you're trying to impress, but when life tests you in these ordinary ways. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's the essence of dignity. If you lose your temper in traffic, if you sulk when things don't go your way, if you let little remarks rattle you, she notices. And slowly, she loses respect. But when you remain calm, when you stand tall even in trivial moments, she sees a man who can be trusted. Emily isn't drawn to Daniel because of the dinners he pays for or the compliments he gives. She's drawn to how he holds himself when challenged, how he looks her in the eye instead of fidgeting, how he treats the waiter with respect, even when the order's wrong. These small displays of dignity spark far more attraction than any gift ever could. The truth is, dignity doesn't shout, it whispers. It shows in restraint, in composure, in your ability to stay centered when others lose control. And for women, that's magnetic. They might not always verbalize it, but they feel it deep down. So, don't underestimate those small moments. They add up. They build the foundation of respect. and respect is the soil where attraction grows. Without it, everything else you do will eventually collapse. Now, let me hear from you. Drop a comment below and claim it for yourself with, "I hold my dignity." And don't go anywhere, because what's coming next is even more eye-opening. We're about to explore a truth that shifts the way women see you, and once you understand it, you'll realize why most men keep sabotaging themselves without knowing. Number 8. Freedom, not fear, keeps her close. Here's a truth that most men ignore. A woman doesn't stay because you cage her, she stays because she feels free with you. Fear, control, and pressure might keep her body around for a while, but it will kill her desire. Freedom, on the other hand, makes her choose you again and again. Think about it. If you spend your time checking her phone, questioning her every move, or needing constant reassurance that she won't leave, what message are you sending? You're telling her that you don't trust her, and more importantly, that you don't trust yourself. That's not strength, it's weakness dressed up as control. The Stoics had a word for this, apatheia, freedom from destructive emotions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you let go of the need to control every aspect of her life, you step into that strength. You show her that you're grounded in who you are, that you don't need to hold her down to keep her. And ironically, that's when she chooses to come closer." Fear-based relationships always spiral into resentment. When you restrict her, she doesn't feel desired, she feels trapped. And the more trapped she feels, the more her attraction fades. But when she experiences freedom by your side, she begins to associate you with expansion, with growth, with a space where her femininity can breathe. That's magnetic. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore boundaries or tolerate disrespect. Freedom doesn't mean chaos. It means you hold yourself with such confidence that you don't panic at the idea of losing her. You know your worth. You set your standards, and then you allow her the space to step into that freely. That balance between strength and freedom is what keeps her loyal, not because she has to be, but because she wants to be. Imagine two men in the same situation. One clings, texts 10 times a day, demands constant validation. The other sends one message, then goes about his life with calm focus. The first creates pressure, the second creates curiosity. Which one do you think she's drawn to? Which one makes her feel she can breathe? The answer is obvious. The man who offers freedom, not chains. Women might test your strength, but deep down, what they desire is the man who can let go, the man who doesn't collapse if she steps away for a while, the man who can say, "I respect your choices, but I also know who I am." That kind of presence isn't built on fear, it's built on freedom. And when she realizes you don't need to hold her hostage to keep her, she starts holding on tighter herself, not because she's forced, but because she feels more alive by your side. So here's my challenge for you. Stop thinking you can control her loyalty with fear. Start realizing that it's your freedom and your calm that makes her choose you. Now, I want you to claim this truth in the comments below. Write, "I lead with freedom." Because when you declare it, you start living it. And don't move just yet, because the next insight is one that flips the script on everything you thought you knew about attraction. And once you see it, you'll never interact with women the same way again. Number 9. Walk away's strength earns devotion. There's a quiet power that most men underestimate: the strength to walk away. When you show a woman that your world doesn't collapse without her, you gain her deepest respect. And more often than not, that respect evolves into devotion. See, women are naturally wired to test boundaries. They want to know if the man they're with truly values himself, or if he'll sacrifice everything just to keep her around. When you don't have the courage to walk away, you send a clear message: "My happiness depends on you." That's not love, it's dependency. And dependency kills attraction. Let's look at a real scenario. Take David, 34, a hard-working guy in Austin. He was dating a younger woman who often pushed his limits, canceling plans last minute, keeping him waiting, sometimes even flirting with other men in front of him. For a while, David tolerated it, thinking patience would prove his love. But instead, her respect for him eroded. One night, when she pulled the same stunt, David calmly told her, "I don't chase disrespect. If you want to play games, play them without me." Then he walked away. The result? She called him the very next day, apologizing, suddenly aware of what she stood to lose. His strength, not his tolerance, earned her devotion. Now compare that with Jessica, 29, from Denver, dating an older man who constantly gave in. She tested him repeatedly, but he never stood his ground. He thought unconditional acceptance would keep her, but to her, it only confirmed he lacked backbone. Eventually, she drifted away, not because he was unkind, but because he never showed the strength to walk away. This is where Stoic wisdom becomes so relevant. Epictetus said, "Never depend on the admiration of another. There is no strength in it. Personal merit cannot be derived from an external source." The man who internalizes this truth no longer begs, pleads, or clings. He knows his value exists independent of her approval, and ironically, that makes her crave his approval more. Walk-away strength isn't about being cold or heartless, it's about self-respect. It means you can enjoy her presence without being enslaved by it. When she sees that you have standards, that you'd rather be alone than disrespected, her instinct shifts. She begins to value your time, your attention, your love, because she knows it's not guaranteed, and that scarcity makes it priceless. The men who master this are the ones women quietly obsess over. They're not the ones who begged or compromised endlessly. They're the ones who calmly turned their back when things crossed the line. Because walking away isn't about rejection, it's about protection, protecting your dignity, your energy, and your purpose. And once you do that, you stop losing women. You start gaining their loyalty. So here's the challenge. Ask yourself, am I staying in this connection out of strength or out of fear? If it's fear, you're already losing her. But if it's strength, you've already earned her respect. Now I want you to lock this into your mindset by dropping a comment below, "I choose strength." Because when you say it, you start to embody it. And don't go anywhere, because the next point is the ultimate truth that ties everything together, a mindset shift that makes her loyalty effortless. Number 10. True loyalty follows masculine steadiness. At the end of the day, everything we've talked about comes down to one core truth. Women are not loyal to what you buy them, what you do for them, or how much you bend to their demands. They are loyal to the man who is steady, a man who doesn't waver when tested, who doesn't lose himself when tempted, who doesn't crumble when challenged. Masculine steadiness isn't about being rigid, it's about being grounded. Think of it like a tree with deep roots. A storm can come, the winds can shake the branches, but the roots keep the tree upright. Women instinctively look for that kind of man, not because they're weak, but because feminine energy craves a stable counterpart. She wants to know that when life gets messy, you don't panic, that when she's emotional, you don't collapse with her, that when temptation or struggle shows up, you don't abandon your values. The truth is, steadiness is rare. Many men swing between extremes. They're overly needy one day, emotionally unavailable the next. They're confident for a moment, then desperate for validation the moment she pulls away. That inconsistency signals weakness, and weakness never inspires loyalty. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Masculine steadiness is exactly that, knowing that no matter what happens outside of you, her moods, her words, her actions, you remain anchored inside. That steadiness is magnetic. It doesn't just make her feel safe, it makes her respect you at the deepest level. Let's expand on this with something most men overlook. A woman doesn't leave because you failed once or because you weren't perfect. She leaves when she feels she can't trust your center. If your emotions, decisions, and direction change depending on her reaction, she senses instability, and instability feels unsafe. Safety, emotional, mental, spiritual, is what ultimately breeds loyalty. Think about it. Loyalty isn't forced. You can't buy it. You can't beg for it. You can't manipulate it. True loyalty is a response to what you consistently embody. If you are steady, calm in conflict, firm in boundaries, clear in purpose, she naturally chooses to follow. If you are unsteady, desperate, chaotic, uncertain, she instinctively pulls back. That's why the men who get the strongest loyalty from women are often the ones who don't chase it. They don't demand it. They simply live in alignment with who they are, unshaken by storms. And the woman feels drawn, not out of obligation, but out of devotion. So, as we close this final point, let me leave you with this. Steadiness is not about being emotionless or unfeeling. It's about direction. It's about control over yourself in a world where everyone else is losing theirs. That is the kind of man she not only respects but chooses over and over again. Because in the end, true loyalty doesn't come from pleasing her or sacrificing for her. True loyalty follows masculine steadiness. If this video sparked something in you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way, you never miss the mindset shifts that can quietly change everything. Inside, we don't chase, we lead, and we grow together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.